What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Simba Sports Hub, man, where we talk all things Washington Commanders football. And yes, man, the offseason is finally upon us. Because guess what? Our team did not make it to the Super Bowl, but we completed things, finishing it off at the NFC Championship, where we got pretty much belt to ass against the Philadelphia Eagles. All good, all good. Hey, Eagles fans, talk y'all shit. Y'all got every right to do y'all thing. We popped that shit before the game, and guess what? We did not show up to play. But anywho, we are now in the off season, and there has been big news coming out of the NFL as far as like players requesting trades, and we're gonna talk about two of those players right here, right now. After I talk about these two players, man, I'm gonna quickly like just kind of like give y'all my vision of how I plan on doing the off season videos. I'm not sure about the days that they're gonna drop, but as the news come, I'm going to try my best to get you guys the information and just my point of view of it. But before we get into, one of the trade requests that we seen come across all our news feeds and social media platforms, make sure, man, y'all smash the motherfucking subscribe button, man. Run up these likes and also drop a comment, man. Tell me what y'all think about these two trade requests. And these are two positions that we kind of are going to need going into next season because we cannot leave Scary Terry alone out there. As a receiver, he's going to need a number two, or 1A, 1B, whatever you want to look at it, right? But yeah, man, make sure y'all drop a comment, man. Tell me what y'all think about potentially trading for one of these two. I mean, trading for two of these guys or one of these guys. But hey, let me know how y'all feel, man. But make sure y'all run up them subscribers, man. We try and hit 500, man. We are continuously going to drop content for y'all. I'm going to continuously give y'all my POV of how I felt about certain moves that we're going to make in the off season. But hey, let's get into it. So first, well, this wasn't the first trade request that came across the national media. Um, it was like the second one, right? It's like the second one to drop. But we're gonna start with Cooper Kupp, and we're gonna save the other guy for right after this one. And Cooper Kupp, it came out of Los Angeles that they're gonna be working with him to try to work on a trade request to get him to another team to where they're going to utilize him and not pretty much phase him out of the offense like they did in LA. They have the Puka Nakua, who's been phenomenal for them. Cooper Kupp has been dealing with some injuries the last couple of years. And if we just go back and just look at his stats, man, we know what he can do when healthy, right? We obviously know what he can do. He's a guy that can catch the ball. He has a wide catch radius. That's never been a question of his, but it's also been healthy. So my question to you guys is: trading for Cooper Kupp, um, what would the team truly need? I wouldn't value him as like a must-need starting free agency. Like we need to go and get Cooper Kupp. He's like a third, fourth option, and I'm not saying that. Like I just look at our team as somebody as either we need to go and get a couple of other guys, but I'm not gonna talk about them guys here. I'm gonna talk about them guys in another video where I drop my key free agents that I think we should reach out to and try to go and get. But sticking with Cooper Kupp, if we look at his last season, man, guy had 60. I mean, he only played 12 games, right? I think he was hurt in and out most throughout the season. Couldn't seem to stay healthy for all 17 games, right? And that's cool. That's all right. You know what I'm saying? But 67 catches. He ended up having 67 catches with 100 targets, and has 710 yards with 6 touchdowns. Again, like I said, we know this guy can get open. We know he can catch the ball. Um, but what is your trade value for a guy like this? Well, how old is he? What is his age? He's 31 years old. Could he help us out? Yes, I do think that he can definitely help this team out. But again, he's not a number one target for me. I wouldn't be calling up LA first to say, hey man, what you want for this guy? That's not my first. I mean, even though the position in itself, a number two, is a top need for our team this offseason, as we kind of see, we had guys that kind of stepped up, but nobody, officially claimed that number two role for us going into this season. And we got to get Jaden Daniels some weapons. And I hate to say we got to image or mirror anybody, but if I had to guess, like it has to be some CJ like the Houston Texans, man. We got to make a trade or an acquisition through free agency that's going to pretty much give Jaden Daniels more weapons. Like that's just what we're gonna have to do, right? We got to go and get him a number two target and potentially another guy. I mean, we got Luke McCaffrey, that's still on the roster right now, and we got tons of free agents receivers that we got that we're gonna talk about in another video. But what is a trade value? If I said I had to trade for Cooper Kupp and that was a guy that I needed to come and join the Commanders roster, um, I give up a fourth. I give up a fourth for him, you know what I'm saying, or a fifth. I just think that his age and his injury is not going to really command too much of a big like trade value because of the injuries, because of the inconsistency. And if you look at it, look, 2022, he only played 9 games. 2023, he only played 12. 2024, he only played 12. So he's missed what, 5 games? The last 2 seasons. Like, you need guys that's going to be on the field for you. Jaden going to definitely need guys that's going to have to play. And then, I mean, he had his one, theatrical year, 2021, when he had 1,900 yards, like 16 touchdowns. Now, if you tell me I'm going to get that from him when we trade for him, hell yeah, I'll give you a third for him. I'll give you a third for him for sure. I'll definitely trade a third, and maybe like another piece to create some cap and some. But again, taking on his contract, taking on his injuries and his age. Yeah, I'm not going over a fourth or a fifth for this guy. Like, I'm not going to throw the higher draft picks at him just because of his last couple. And then again, we don't know if he was truly phased out in LA, because the injuries the injuries are definitely speaking for himself. Like, he just hasn't had too many consistent seasons of playing 17 games, or early on 2019, 2020. Yeah, he played 15 games or above, but hey, what can you do for us now? Like, are you cleared of all your injuries? Is the injury bug gone? Like, I'm just curious. Like, so again, if we had to trade for this guy, I'm not going too high, a fourth or fifth for him. That's just me. But he is a second tier kind of guy that I would want to go after, but he's not my first tier or my first option that I'm just going to be like, oh man, hey, Cooper want to get traded, let's go get him. Now, this next guy I'm going to talk about, this next guy that I'm about to, speak on, hell yeah, this is a generational, top 5, top 3 player in the league right now. And I mean, you'll be crazy to not think so. You can't attach what happened with the team success to what this guy has been able to do his whole career. But yeah, that's just my take on Cooper Kupp, man. I would love to have him on the mob, but he's just not a guy that I'm just going to, go after first, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Hopefully, you guys understand that. There's no ill will towards him. I think he's a phenomenal receiver. He's definitely, I don't know if you would put him in the top 10 category right now as being one of the top 10 receivers, but he's definitely in that 15 to 20 range. When healthy, yes, he's definitely a guy that you gotta have an argument about him being a top 10 receiver. But for what we need, yeah, man, I just think that if we can't get none of these other guys that I'm looking at, or even a rookie, coming in and helping us out, he's probably second tier, third tier type receiver that I'll try to, bring onto the squad. Simple as that. Now, let's get into this next guy. And y'all know, man, this was the first one to drop, and kind of the whole, like, every fan base kind of went wow. Like, hey, man, we'll give up the bring out the Brinks truck, like, get a blank check for this guy. Like, if he really wants to leave Cleveland, Myles Garrett is a generational guy who's only 29. The last time we seen a guy of his caliber that's been doing what he's doing, if you see, he was second in sacks this season on a team that is going to be picking top 3, top 2. I'm not sure where they're picking that this year, but it looks like they, when the trade request came out, it's like it seems like that he's going to want to not be with a rebuild type of process, and you gotta respect that, man. This guy has literally given you 10 plus sacks for the last seven seasons, man. Outside of his rookie year, he's never went under 10 sacks. That is like and the last guy that we seen that was played at his type of caliber at that time was Khalil Mack. Now, Khalil Mack was younger, and we seen what he was traded for to the Chargers at the time. They gave up 3 picks for that guy. But again, he was a lot younger, and they had to pay him too when he came over, I believe. But this guy, 14 sacks, 16, 16, 12, 10, 13 and a half. Like, this is the guy that we need on our defense. If we going back to how the season played out and how everything worked, we need this type of guy on our defensive line. We was terrible at. He's going to be able to stop the run. He's going to command a lot of attention on that D line. I know a lot of talk was saying, "Hey man, I'm giving up Jonathan Allen or Deron Payne." I'll say this: one, I don't think Cleveland. I think the last time I looked at their cap space, I don't think they have the money to take on a Deron Payne or Jonathan Allen's contract. I'm not saying that it's not possible. I don't know all the numbers. But what I'm just looking at from where they sit at in a cap space perspective, nah, they can't take neither one of those guys. So we got to figure out something else to give up to be able to bring that guy. But again, if we get him into this organization, I know what he was saying, right? He said, "I want to play for a contender," and everybody all throughout the social media, Twitter, man. Hey man, he going to the Eagles. Eagles going to trade for him. And that's a possibility. That would be fucking scary. Him and Jalen Carter on the same team, on the same defense. That would be ugly for us to face that team twice a year and him being on that team. Because guess what? They the best team right now in the NFC. You got Detroit. You got guys like Kansas City, who I don't think got enough money to bring them in. Buffalo, who damn sure ain't got enough money. They like negative, I think, the last time I checked. And then I heard some ramblings about Dallas getting them. Putting him with Michael Parsons could be scary, but do they have the money? Because the other rumors is that he's going to want a new contract. Now, my thing is here with the new contract. I have no problem giving this guy a new contract. But I am going to say that, if I've removed myself from the old regime and how we used to bring guys in, pay them a bunch of money, and they don't fucking show up to work. I'm not going to say his name. Fuck it, I'm going to say his name. Albert Hainsworth is one guy that I have to mention. I have to mention his name because we all know the Albert Hainsworth situation. Paid him a boatload of money and got no production out of him. Simple as that. But look, this guy here, if you're talking about trade value, I don't quite think that he's going to be, he's 29. He's still in his prime. He's still in the, maybe one of the top 2, top 3, pass rushes between him and TJ Watt. Honestly, I'm just being honest. And then if you want to argue Nick Bosa, you can. If you want to argue other guys, hey, have that debate. But me personally, 29, coming off of 14 sacks, we know that it's going to be no less than 2 first-round picks for this type of guy. But if we had a player, a valuable player, I was talking to my guy, he said, man, would you trade Frankie Louvu? Would you throw Frankie Louvu in there, for that type of guy? Hell yeah. The non-tradables is Jaden Daniels and 5 We Trust and Terry McLaurin and Mike Sandersteele. Everybody else is expandable. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Our defense did not play it in a totality. Frankie Louvu played great football. And you want to kind of keep that there. You kind of want to keep the core guys there. But if you're asking me who would I rather have, Myles Garrett or Frankie Louvu, give me 95 all day, every day. Take it to the bank. I'm taking 90. And I'm giving up 2 first-round picks. I was literally, I'm like, man, I don't want to give up our trade, our draft capital, because guess what, man? We still got to build our team. We got 29 free agents. And that's another video, but we got to keep in mind, we got 29 free agents. And we got to try to get most of those guys back because we want to try to keep our core group together and continue to let them build. But I'm going to be honest with y'all. If it takes 2 first-round picks, and I love the draft. I'm going to get my draft. I'm going to do a video for, like, the guys that I like, the guys I think that we want need to bring into this organization to help us get to the next level. But we got to start with a guy like Myles Garrett. That's a big splash by AP. I believe if he can make that trade happen, and it's going to cost us a lot. And I'm just keeping it a bean. It's going to cost us a lot, for sure. It's definitely going to cost us a lot because guess what? We are going to be not the only ones trying to get this guy. This is a generational pass rusher that we haven't had. We had Chase Young, and we thought Montez Sweat was going to be those guys, but they wasn't. That was a whole nother. I might do a little, I might drop a little video on that whole, like, who else we can bring in, what I'm saying, to kind of complement this guy. But give me Dorrance Armstrong. You signed back Dante Fowler, who had a good year. I think he's more of a situational pass rusher. But this guy right here is 4 downs. He can stop the run. He can get to the quarterback any 4 downs, and he can create havoc. So adding him, and I know, Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne haven't done much. All right, that's cool. But look at a guy like Dexter Lawrence. A lot of people was giving him praise about the 9 sacks that he had this season. But guess who he had on the outside? The outside, your pass rushers matter because guess what? Your offense is going to be worried about that pass rush on the outside more than they worry about interior rushing. So Dexter Lawrence, yes, he was facing some double teams. I'm not going to say that. But to have Brian Burns and Thibodeau out there rushing the pass and creating, flushing those quarterbacks up into the middle where Dexter Lawrence is pretty much sitting there like, hey, welcome, and getting sacked. But he also was good on the run defense. Don't get me wrong about Dexter Lawrence. I'm not taking that away from him. But you need a guy that's going to get around the edge and cause havoc. And he's that guy. So I know I was teetering between receiver, pass rusher, but I'm a defensive-minded guy first, all day, every day. I love defense. I believe that the only way that you can win Super Bowl still to this day is being able to play defense. If you can keep a team out the end zone and keep them outside the 50 and kicking field goals and punting the ball, give me that. Give me that. But it does seem like our offense carried the load last season, and that's understandable. But we still got a young guy. We don't got to put too much pressure on him if we get a guy like this in the organization. And hey, I hope Myles Garrett look at us like he played against the offense. He's seen what we've been able to do. And I've been seeing a lot of guys saying, national media, that we the front runners to get him. I'm still, until it happens, I don't know. I don't believe it. Until I see trade approved, it's been finalized. I'll deal with the draft, like what we gave up, the capital that we gave up on it. I'll do another video on that. But hey, man, I'm just gonna say this: we gotta get Myles Garrett into this organization. Joe Witt is gonna love to have a guy like him. Dan Quinn is gonna love to have a guy like him. Daryl Tapp is gonna be happy to have a guy like him, man. When you got somebody that can, be a game changer, like not just by stats, but we see the stats, but everything else that he can do. He had 3 forced fumbles. The year before that, he had 4. You get what I'm saying? And look, he had 11 stuffs. 12 the year before that. So he's getting to the backfield. He's making things happen. So you got to try to go and get this guy, AP, Dan Quinn, Josh Harris. I'm giving up both of my first round picks for him. I know I'm a little hesitant on that because I want to keep my draft capital, because we still got to build our roster out. But let's start off with this guy. And let's go ahead and get him paid. 2 first round picks. And then give up a next year 3rd or a next year 4th. But we got to try to keep, but I would love to keep our first round pick, man. There's some guys that I'm already looking at that 29 spot that can potentially fall to us. And the draft is tricky, right? It's always a guy that slips and falls into the later parts of the first round, guys that you wouldn't even expect to fall that far. So it's guys that I want to see bring into, because I love youth too. But he's the guy that I want to see us go and get. If he is available, if he is being traded, let's go and get him. But yes, tell me what y'all think. Drop a comment. Tell me what y'all would trade for this guy, what y'all would be willing to give up. Again, my non-negotiables. Scary Terry is not on the trade block. In 5 we trust. Jaden Daniels is not on the trade block. Mike Sandersteele is not on the trade block by any means necessary. Those 3 guys are not. Everybody else, and it's just business. To get this type of guy, yeah, I'm giving up the bank. But man, yeah, drop a comment. Don't forget to like the video, and also, man, let's run up these. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hey, we back. We in the off season. I got some good stuff lined up for y'all, how I want to attack the off season. I'm a starter. My next video is going pretty much going over our free agencies, our 29 free agents, and pretty much going down who I want to keep, who I want to bring back, who I'm okay with letting go. But yeah, that's going to be for the next video. Until then, man, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be easy.